Most men grow up believing a dangerous lie, that women are inherently difficult, unpredictable, or impossible to understand. They think attraction is complicated, that there's some secret code they must decipher to win a woman's interest. This belief follows men into adulthood, shaping how they approach women, how they communicate, and how they respond when things don't go as planned. The truth is simpler than most men realize, yet it's uncomfortable because it challenges everything they thought they knew. Women are not hard. What makes them seem hard is how men approach them, especially when they approach from need instead of confidence. From the very first interaction, many men place women on a pedestal without realizing it. They filter every word, control every gesture, and overthink every situation based on how she might respond. They believe this is respect, but in reality, it's fear disguised as politeness. Women sense fear instinctively. Even when a man smiles, jokes, or appears confident, if his emotional state depends on her reactions, that fear leaks out. It appears in subtle ways: a rushed response, a lingering over-explanation, a slight tension in posture. Women respond not just to words but to energy, to emotional stability, to the sense that a man is whole on his own. When a man's happiness relies on a woman's attention, he gives away his power before she even understands it. He becomes emotionally available in ways that are premature, constantly seeking validation, desperate for reassurance. His mood rises and falls depending on whether she replies promptly or seems interested. Over time, this dependency creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. A woman may initially feel flattered by the attention, but instinctively she will sense that she carries responsibility for his emotional state. And no one is naturally drawn to responsibility that feels imposed. Most men, mistakenly, believe attraction grows from doing more, texting more, explaining more, proving more, giving more. They confuse effort with value, performance with presence. But attraction doesn't grow through excess. It grows through balance. When a man leans too heavily on a woman's reactions to feel secure, every word, every gesture, every text carries unspoken expectation. Even compliments, even polite attention, feel transactional instead of natural. Women sense it and instinctively pull back. What seems complicated is actually simple. Need creates resistance. Self-possession creates curiosity. Women don't pull away because a man is kind, attentive, or confident in his appearance. They pull away because he needs. Neediness doesn't always announce itself loudly. It shows up in subtle ways: checking the phone too often, seeking reassurance in conversations, over-explaining intentions, reacting emotionally to delays or silence. All of these small actions communicate one thing clearly: that his emotional stability depends on her. And nothing is more unattractive than a man who depends on another person to feel secure. Attraction requires space. Women are naturally drawn to men who maintain their own center, who live full lives independent of validation, who do not collapse emotionally when attention fluctuates. When a woman senses that a man's emotional state is intact regardless of her interest, she feels safe, intrigued, and naturally curious. Space allows connection to grow. Pressure stifles it. This is why men often misinterpret her behavior. He tries harder when she pulls away, over-explains when she's distant, asks questions when she's quiet, thinking he is fixing the problem. In reality, he is creating it. Nonchalance is often misunderstood. Many think it means indifference or emotional coldness. True nonchalance is neither. It is the ability to care without clinging, to engage without needing, to be present without being dependent. It's emotional self-possession, the quiet, calm awareness that your value does not rely on anyone else's approval. Women sense nonchalance instantly because it signals strength and stability. It is rare, and rarity is attractive. A nonchalant man is not passive. He is deliberate. He does not overreact to silence. He does not chase attention. He does not inflate his own value through desperate gestures. He simply exists fully and confidently in his own frame. Most men fail to understand that words alone do not build attraction. Women respond to emotional signals far more than logical explanations. Two men could say the same thing with identical wording, yet one will attract and the other will repel, depending solely on emotional presence. A man who feels anxious, needy, or dependent communicates lack of stability. A man who is grounded, calm, and emotionally independent communicates safety and strength. Women instinctively seek safety. They are wired to scan for it before engaging further. The men who struggle most are those who offer too much too soon. They give loyalty before it is earned. They provide attention before respect is reciprocated. They lean in emotionally before connection is established. And when women pull back, these men feel confused, frustrated, and hurt. They think women are difficult, but the real issue lies in their own approach. Women are not complicated. Men simply mismanage the emotional dynamics that naturally attract. Before a man can understand women, he must understand himself. Emotional independence, confidence without need, and the ability to remain calm in uncertainty are more powerful than any line, text, or strategy. When a man develops these qualities, women are no longer hard. Attraction becomes effortless because it flows naturally from emotional alignment, not forced behavior. Women respond to energy, not words. They respond to presence, not performance. They respond to calm, not desperation. Chapter 1 is about clarity. Women are not hard. Men make them seem hard through neediness, emotional dependence, and overinvestment. Nonchalance is not manipulation. It is self-possession. It is the quiet, unshakable presence that draws women in because it signals value, security, and freedom. Attraction is not complicated. It is simple. Men who are whole on their own create an environment where women want to connect. Men who are incomplete on their own create an environment where women instinctively pull away. Until a man understands this, he will continue to struggle, no matter how polite, clever, or nice he tries to be. Everything begins with understanding your own emotional posture, your own frame, and your own worth. Once that is secure, nothing about women will feel confusing or hard. And that understanding is the key to effortless attraction. Most men completely misunderstand what nonchalance really is. They think it's being cold, detached, or indifferent. They imagine that acting like they don't care will somehow make women chase them. In reality, true nonchalance has nothing to do with pretending or playing games. Nonchalance is an internal state, a quiet emotional confidence that exists regardless of how a woman behaves. It is the ability to care without needing, to engage without desperation, and to be present without attaching your self-worth to her approval. This distinction is crucial because the difference between neediness and nonchalance is what separates men who attract effortlessly from men who struggle endlessly. Nonchalance begins with emotional independence. A man who is emotionally dependent on a woman is constantly scanning for signs of interest, validation, or approval. He overanalyzes her words, interprets her silence as rejection, and feels compelled to fix situations that aren't his responsibility. Nonchalant men, by contrast, are grounded in their own value. They understand that a woman's attention is a gift, not a requirement, and they can accept it freely or let it go without panic. This mindset changes the entire dynamic because women respond to presence, not pressure. When a man is emotionally steady, he doesn't trigger defensive instincts. He allows attraction to unfold naturally. Another key aspect of nonchalance is detachment from outcomes. Most men approach women with a singular goal: to be chosen. Their happiness depends on her saying yes, texting back, or showing interest. This outcome-based approach creates tension and desperation is immediately detectable. Nonchalant men operate differently. They enjoy interactions without making the result critical. They may pursue a woman, express interest, and engage fully, but their emotional equilibrium is never compromised by her response. This freedom is magnetic because it communicates security, stability, and confidence, the qualities women unconsciously seek. Nonchalance also requires patience. Attraction does not develop overnight. Women are wired to assess stability, confidence, and independence over time. A man who constantly pushes, explains, or seeks approval short-circuits this process. A nonchalant man trusts the rhythm of connection. He gives space without withdrawing care completely. He engages fully when appropriate, but never collapses emotionally if interest fluctuates. He understands that curiosity and desire thrive in freedom, not pressure. This patience communicates that he is in control of himself, not of her. And that alone dramatically increases his value in her eyes. It's important to note that nonchalance is not manipulation. It is not about playing hard to get, ignoring messages strategically, or acting mysterious for the sake of appearance. Those are surface-level tricks that may produce short-term results, but they don't build authentic attraction. True nonchalance comes from self-possession. It is a state of being, not a technique. Women can sense when a man's calmness is authentic versus performative. Authentic nonchalance feels safe, confident, and magnetic. Performative nonchalance feels calculated. Women can detect it instantly. Another reason nonchalance works is because it creates space. Women respond to men who do not crowd them emotionally. When a man overinvests too soon, she experiences pressure, whether she consciously realizes it or not. This pressure triggers instinctual withdrawal. Nonchalant men, however, allow space for women to choose, show interest voluntarily, and to invest in the interaction without obligation. Space generates curiosity, tension, and ultimately attraction. Women are drawn to men who are emotionally stable enough to allow them freedom while still being present. Nonchalance also changes the way men communicate. When a man is nonchalant, he doesn't feel the need to explain himself constantly or justify his actions. He speaks clearly with purpose and without excessive elaboration. Silence is no longer a source of panic. It is a tool for creating presence. A text message is not a test or a lifeline. It is simply a way to express interest. Conversations are natural, rather than weighted with expectation. This calm energy is noticed instantly because it contrasts sharply with the anxious, needy energy that dominates most interactions. Many men overlook the physical and behavioral elements of nonchalance. Body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions all communicate nonchalance effortlessly. A relaxed posture, slow and deliberate movements, steady eye contact, and a calm, confident tone all signal that a man is secure in himself. These cues bypass the need for words entirely. Women respond to energy first, words second. Nonchalant men understand this implicitly, which is why they rarely have to chase or persuade. Their presence alone is enough to generate interest. Finally, nonchalance is the ultimate test of self-respect. A man who is emotionally grounded and outcome independent communicates that he will not tolerate disrespect or unnecessary drama. He sets boundaries naturally, without defensiveness or over-explanation. Women feel this, and even if she initially resists, her subconscious respects the consistency and stability. Nonchalance is not arrogance. It is the quiet certainty of a man who knows his worth and refuses to compromise it. For fleeting approval, mastering nonchalance transforms every interaction with women. They are no longer hard because the tension created by neediness disappears. Attraction becomes effortless because it is built on emotional stability, confidence, and presence. Women respond instinctively to this energy. They lean in, they engage, and they invest when they feel safe and intrigued. Nonchalance is not a skill to be learned superficially. It is a way of being, a reflection of inner strength and self-possession. Once a man embodies it, the dynamics of dating and relationships shift completely. And what once seemed confusing becomes natural and intuitive. Many men believe that attraction is built through constant effort, attention, and proving themselves. They think the more they give, the more a woman will want them. But attraction does not work that way. Women respond to energy, not effort. They respond to presence, not performance. When a man is overly invested too soon, he communicates neediness rather than value. Neediness signals imbalance, pressure, and emotional instability. Nonchalance, on the other hand, communicates security, calmness, and self-possession qualities women are naturally drawn to. The key to nonchalance is understanding emotional boundaries. Women are not responsible for a man's happiness. A man who leans on her for validation or constantly seeks reassurance creates an unspoken obligation. Women sense this and instinctively pull away. Nonchalant men do the opposite. They care, they engage, and they show interest, but they never allow their emotional state to depend on her reactions. They maintain control of their energy, and in doing so, they create an environment where attraction can grow freely. Nonchalance also requires patience. Many men want instant results. They want immediate validation, quick responses, and clear signals of interest. This impatience creates tension, which women detect subconsciously. Nonchalant men understand that attraction is a process, not a transaction. They give space for a woman to respond, to engage, and to show interest voluntarily. Space is powerful because it allows curiosity and desire to develop naturally. Women are drawn to men who do not crowd them emotionally, who do not chase them, and who remain steady regardless of external circumstances. Another aspect of nonchalance is the ability to stay grounded under uncertainty. Women test, pull back, or show subtle signals of disinterest at times, not to play games, but because human emotions are complex. Men who overreact to these signals reveal dependency and instability. Nonchalant men remain composed. They observe behavior without panic, respond without need, and never overcommit emotionally before the connection is earned. This stability signals strength, security, confidence, the core of genuine attraction. Nonchalance is also communicated through behavior, tone, and body language. A calm voice, steady eye contact, relaxed posture, and deliberate movements all convey self-possession without a single word. Women pick up on these cues instinctively. They feel safe, intrigued, and drawn to men who do not collapse emotionally under pressure. The more a man embodies this energy, the less he needs to manipulate or strategize. His presence alone creates attraction. Ultimately, nonchalance transforms the way men experience dating. Women are not hard. They are simply responding to the emotional environment a man creates. When he is calm, self-contained, and emotionally independent, she feels free, curious, and naturally drawn. When he is anxious, needy, or outcome-dependent, she feels pressure, which triggers withdrawal. Mastering nonchalance is not about tricks or games. It is about developing inner strength, self-respect, and emotional discipline. Once a man embodies these qualities, what once seemed complicated becomes intuitive, and attraction flows effortlessly. Many men think that attraction is about saying the right words, following a script, or performing certain behaviors. In reality, women respond to the emotional energy behind those words and actions far more than the content itself. A man who is calm, confident, and emotionally grounded communicates security, stability, and self-possession, which are far more attractive than clever lines or over-the-top gestures. Nonchalance is not about indifference. It is about creating a presence that is steady, composed, and magnetic. One of the most common mistakes men make is reacting to every shift in a woman's behavior. If she doesn't reply immediately, he panics. If she cancels plans, he over-explains. If she seems distant, he questions himself. These reactions signal neediness and emotional imbalance, which diminish attraction instantly. Nonchalant men behave differently. They maintain their emotional center regardless of external circumstances. They engage fully without attachment, respond thoughtfully without desperation, and stay calm under uncertainty. This emotional consistency is what women respond to, often without consciously realizing it. Nonchalance also changes the way men communicate. Men who are emotionally dependent often over-explain themselves, justify every action, and try to control the outcome of interactions. Nonchalant men, however, communicate clearly, directly, and without overcomplication. Silence is not a problem. It is a tool. Waiting for a woman to respond is not a test. It is a reflection of trust in the natural flow of interaction. Nonchalant communication creates space for curiosity and attraction to develop organically. Women feel invited, not pressured. Another critical aspect of nonchalance is patience. Men often expect immediate validation and clear signs of interest. This impatience creates tension, which women detect instinctively. Nonchalant men understand that attraction develops over time. They give space, observe behavior, and allow the connection to unfold naturally. When a man is patient, he does not chase. He does not beg for attention or overanalyze interactions. Instead, he remains grounded, confident, and engaged at the right moments. This combination of patience and presence makes him magnetic. Nonchalance also requires self-awareness and control. A man who can regulate his own emotions, maintain his frame, and resist reacting to every signal of uncertainty communicates strength and reliability. Women are drawn to men who do not collapse under pressure, who do not need constant reassurance, and who can remain calm even when the situation is ambiguous. This stability signals emotional maturity, which is far more attractive than charm, money, or status alone. Ultimately, nonchalance is about creating an emotional environment that invites connection rather than forcing it. Women are not hard. They respond to the energy men bring. Men who are steady, composed, and emotionally independent make women feel safe and intrigued. Men who are needy, anxious, or outcome-dependent create tension and push women away. Nonchalance is not a trick or a performance. It is a reflection of inner strength, self-respect, and emotional mastery. Once a man embodies these qualities, attraction becomes natural, effortless, and sustainable. By now, it should be clear that women are not hard in themselves. The difficulty comes from how men approach them. Most men operate from need, anxiety, and outcome dependence, which creates pressure and pushes women away. Nonchalance, on the other hand, is a state of emotional freedom. It allows a man to engage fully without leaning on a woman for validation or approval. When a man embodies this, attraction flows naturally because it is based on calm, grounded energy rather than forced effort. Nonchalance is not about pretending you don't care or playing games. It is about caring without needing, being present without desperation, and staying steady regardless of external circumstances. Women sense this instinctively. They feel relaxed, curious, and drawn to men who maintain their emotional balance. A nonchalant man does not chase, does not overanalyze, and does not collapse when plans change or attention fluctuates. Instead, he remains confident, composed, and patient. This emotional stability creates safety, which is the foundation of genuine attraction. The men who master nonchalance stop trying to win women and start focusing on themselves. They develop their purpose, hobbies, and self-respect. They approach interactions with freedom, not expectation. They understand that attraction cannot be forced, emerges naturally when they are grounded and self-contained. Women respond to this energy because it is rare, it's authentic, and powerful. Ultimately, nonchalance transforms dating and relationships. Women are no longer hard because the pressure created by neediness disappears. Attraction becomes effortless, natural, and reciprocal. The key is simple. Cultivate emotional independence. Remain steady under uncertainty and create presence without dependence. When a man does this, women are drawn in naturally, and connection becomes effortless. Nonchalance is not a strategy. It is a way of being, a reflection of inner strength, self-possession, and the quiet confidence that makes attraction inevitable.